Thousands descended on the Iowa State Fairgrounds this week for the World Pork Expo. As exhibitors made their way around the show ring, pork industry leaders made their case for U.S. producers to compete on the world stage.
The issue for us is access. If we can get in to compete, we'll compete with anybody. When we talk about trade agreements, the deal with it is what we're looking at is duties and non-scientific barriers to allow us to come to markets to compete.
Battered and bruised, the U.S. pork industry is on the front lines of several trade disputes. Members have made phone calls to National Pork Producers Council leadership, even though President Trump has said he's not going to leave agriculture out in the cold.
We're the biggest single sector in the United States that's right now taking it on the chin. And I give a lot of credit to pork producers for being very measured and very patient.
As late as 1995, the U.S. was still a net importer of pork. Last year, domestic producers shipped 27% of their product out of the country.
The pork industry has helped make rural America great again. And we've been an engine of development for rural America. And, we're taking a step backwards now with the punitive tariffs in China and Mexico. But as I said before, ultimately we got to be able to trade because we're an extremely competitive industry.
And as new markets like Argentina emerge, it is the existing destinations of U.S. pork, like NAFTA nations, that are some of the most important. If nothing else, NPPC leaders would like to see a continuation of zero tariff access into the Mexican market.
We're taking water on fast. There's a lot of blood on the floor. But we're giving this administration the benefit of the doubt. And they've said repeatedly they're going to work with us. And so we're going to work with them.
Finding new markets for U.S. pork is priority number one, but at some point it may have to resort to number two, and that's eating its way out of the problem.
So maybe the best thing that the general public can do is very simple. It's eat more pork. And we would really appreciate that, because I'll tell you what, our folks are being patriots here.
Trump administration officials from USDA and the United States Trade Representative's office also had time to address attendees.
That's our job at USTR, is to have very, very frank conversations with other countries.
USTR's Greg Dowd says he's been going nonstop since his confirmation in March. He says the president is concerned about two countries who hold 40% of the world's consumers, India and China, and how those two nations refuse to play by rules.
China hasn't told us even what they were spending since 2010, since 2010. So they want us to enter into these dialogues and discussions, but yet they want to operate by a different set of rules. I think we're going to provide a little more leadership in that area to have these conversations.
Dowd adds more tariffs will likely be coming that are unrelated to agriculture, but have the potential to impact the industry. Trade practices relating to steel, aluminum, and intellectual property are the administration's three biggest complaints about the world's second largest economy. The U.S. and Argentina have been talking about a trade deal since 1992, which highlights how creating policy is never simple.
These kinds of things take time to resolve. For instance, we talk about doing bilateral agreements. We all have to have a perspective here. You don't start on Friday and get done the following Tuesday. They take time, and this is a long game we're in, and we have to have a long-term view, because long-term exports mean opportunity for hog farmers, for rural America.
In agriculture, we play offense on trade. We've got to continue to push to move forwards on these issues. We've got to begin to negotiate with other countries and getting new deals.
We're going over some rocky times right now, but we're still really positive. I mean, when you look at the metrics out there, there's more pork getting consumed in the world today than ever. So, and there's more demand for our pork. When we get through these rocky times, I think the capital that's been put into this industry will be well spent.
For Market to Market, I'm Paul Yeager.